Hi Simple Suppers families, my name is Leah May and I'm with the Simple Suppers program, and today I'm going to demonstrate how to make a quick Skillet Ziti recipe with fresh veggies and dip and a crunchy fruit parfait. So before I begin, I'm going to go through my ingredients and the different tools that I have. So for the quick skillet big ziti itself, I have penne pasta. I also have a yellow onion that I'm going to chop up. I also have ground turkey here. I'm going to use half a pound of that. I also have low sodium tomatoes, tomato paste. I have a few seasonings, so I have garlic powder and I also have dried parsley. You can also use fresh parsley if you have it. And then I also have low-fat ricotta cheese that we're going to use, and also Parmesan cheese that's shredded. For the fresh veggies and dip, I have a few fresh veggies of my choice. So that includes, tonight we have cucumbers and a carrot, but you can use whatever your family likes, maybe bell peppers or broccoli, things like that. And then to make the dip, we're going to use plain low-fat yogurt with a dry seasoning kit, just an Italian seasoning packet. Finally, we're going to do a crunchy fruit parfait. So I have our fruit of choice over here. So tonight we're going to use bananas, and then we're also going to do blueberries and strawberries. And then I have our low-fat vanilla yogurt here, as well as some crunchy whole wheat cereal. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is prepare our fresh produce. So first I'm going to prep my onion. So I need about a 1/3 cup of onion for the ziti skillet that I'm going to cook in with the ground meat. Remember, when you're chopping, keep your fingers in a curled C shape so that you don't catch the tips of your fingers. This is also a great step for your kids to help with, under adult supervision of course, and for the younger kiddos, having a safety knife is probably a good idea. Next, I'm going to chop up my fresh veggies for dipping. So I am going to cut these into fairly long pieces. If I were cooking them, I might chop them up, but in this case I'm going to make, for the cucumber, I'm going to make nice slices to dip, and the carrot I'm going to make long sticks. Alright, and next I'll do my carrot. So we've got nice little sticks now that we can dip. Also remember always to wash all of your fresh produce before you chop it up. Alright, now that my veggies are done, I'm going to go and chop my fruit. So since I'm using blueberries, I'm just going to leave those alone, but for the strawberries I'm going to take the stem off and cut it into slightly smaller pieces. A fun tip you can try for stemming strawberries is actually poking a straw through the center to get the grains off. It doesn't always work for me, and I don't have a straw right now to show you, but that is a tip that I've heard from other people. All right, so then now that all of our produce is cut and washed first and then cut, we're gonna move on to make our dip so that it can chill for a little bit while we cook the rest of the food. So I'm gonna grab a bowl. Checking my recipe here, I'm going to use about 1/3 cup of low-fat plain yogurt. Some people also use cottage cheese or a low-fat sour cream for this. And I'm going to mix that with a scoop from this packet. I'm not going to use the whole packet because that would be a lot of seasoning and just a little bit of the yogurt. I'm going to use about a teaspoon. Alright, so we'll mix this up and next we'll head over to the stovetop to start cooking our ziti. Alright, so now it's time to start cooking on the stove. I'm going to go ahead and add my onions and about a 1/2 pound of meat. So tonight we're going to use ground turkey. My pan is already hot. So we're just going to break up the meat into small bits and let that saute until there's no more pink left. Alright, so now that the meat is done browning, if you have a higher percentage meat, you might want to drain off the extra grease or oil, but because this was pretty lean turkey, it actually looks pretty good at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and add our tomatoes, our tomato paste, and our spices. Okay, so I've added my tomatoes and now I'm going to add my garlic powder. And my parsley. We're also going to add a cup of water. So that it'll make the sauce. And we are going to turn this up just a little bit. And we're going to let this simmer for about 20-25 minutes. And during that time, we're going to go ahead and make our pasta. Alright, so I'm going to grab some water and put that on the stove to start boiling. And then we're just going to follow the directions on the package to make that penne. Alright, so my timer just went off for my pasta, so I'm going to go ahead and scoop the pasta out directly into my meat and tomato mixture. And I'm not going to drain the pasta with a colander just to save myself from having to wash it later. I can just scoop it out with a spoon. Alright, I'm going to stir this up so it's all mixed together. And then finally, I'm going to add my mixture of ricotta cheese and Parmesan cheese and just drop it into this mixture. So I'm just going to let this heat up, and as the cheese melts in, it's going to make it nice and creamy. Alright, so our ziti looks great. I'm going to leave that here for just a second to start to cool. I'm going to make my crunchy fruit parfaits, and then we'll be ready to eat. Alright, so the last thing we're going to do here is assemble our crunchy fruit parfaits. I'm going to go ahead and cut my banana now. I didn't do that earlier because I didn't want it to get brown. This is a great step for your younger kids to help with, peeling soft fruits like bananas. Now my banana does have a pretty dark, soft spot on it, so I'm going to cut that off. Alright, so to assemble our parfaits, I'm going to use a clear plastic cup so that you can see the layers. I'm going to take my vanilla yogurt, put a little scoop in the bottom, so that's my first layer of yogurt, and I'm going to add some of the fruit. And then on top of the fruit, I'm going to put my crunchy cereal. I'm actually just going to pour these out on my cutting board so that I don't have to reach into the bag and risk any cross-contamination, although my hands are clean. So that gives you your first 3 layers, and then we're just going to do it again. Alright, so here's our finished product, our caregiver's plate and our child's plate of our quick skillet ziti with veggies and dip and our crunchy fruit parfaits. So we hope you enjoy this recipe.